One of the best experts that I know to talk about substance abuse, addiction, and any issues related to it is Blu Robinson. He's joining me today to answer the question, what do I do if I suspect my child is using drugs? Blu, we both get this quite often in our practices and what we're doing. And I know that you've encountered this question before. Sometimes parents are really concerned about their kids and they start to suspect that maybe there might be some drug usage going on. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're here today. Can you help us with this? What do you do if you suspect that your child might be using?
Absolutely, Dr. Paul. It's a scary thing to have to talk about, but one that most families will end up having to discuss at one time or another.
Unfortunately.
So the first step in trying to get into that new relationship that you're going to be having with your child is learn how to listen. When you approach your child to try and talk about these kind of things, you're going to hit some pushback because it's a sensitive topic. It's something that they didn't want you to find out. But in order to ask the right questions, you're going to have to listen first. Because what's going to happen usually is we get into this reactive listening where we already know the story, we already know the pitfalls that drugs and substance use can have on our children. If we fail to listen to catch exactly what's going on, we're not going to be able to have much dialogue to find out, how to process what next steps you're going to have to take.
This is really
Listening's important.
You know what? You just nailed something. As parents, we get so concerned sometimes about our children's choices that what do we want to do? We want to jump in and fix it. Or we want to give them some advice, right?
Absolutely.
Or instruct them or command them to do something new. And your point is so crucial here because your first job is to listen to them.
Absolutely.
And get the story. If we can open up those lines of communication, we're going to have a lot easier time moving forward with this.
Well, absolutely, because if you think about the style of listening, if we go in there, like I said, like with the reactive listening, meaning we're going to fight with whatever answer they give us and force them into some straight talk, this is what's going to happen, we fail to get into that core communication style of search talking with our children, trying to find out what's causing that issue. Why are they using? Who are the friends they're using with? What do their parents think of this? You've got to be able to do it in a manner that's going to kind of breed longer extended communication. You know what, Dr. Paul, it's funny. Most families kind of disengage with communication after about 3 to 4 closed-ended questions, meaning, why are you using? I don't know. You've got to stop. I can't. Whatever. These closed-ended questions that we ask, thinking that's going to bring a lot of search talk, it doesn't happen that way. So we have to find out the core reasons. These kids are using for a reason, and maybe they're just experimenting right now, but it doesn't take long for that to turn into a full-fledged addiction. So that core communication aspect of this whole interaction is going to be so crucial. It'll make or break you.
Search talking. I don't know if I've ever heard that phrase before.
Search talking is a good modality of communication when you think about it. We have 4 styles. We've got small talk, which we all know. We've got control talk, which is you will stop doing this. You will never hang out with those friends again.
Parents want to go there sometimes.
Well, we all do. We want the behavior to stop. And then you got search talking, which therapists like to do, right? Talk about what's going on. Yeah, tell me more about this, or
why do you understand?
Exactly. That line right there is perfect. Help me understand why this is happening. Because it's been going on for a while. On average, our kids get into addiction 2 years before we find out.
Before the parents?
On average.
Oh, wow.
So by the time this is coming up, you have noticed things like slipping grades, poor attendance, isolating in the home, hiding behind the phone.
There's some signs.
And so sometimes it takes a lot longer. And so, to be able to have those communications with your kids, tell me more about what's going on in life is crucial.
You know what, Blu, I have to tell you about this experience I had. Early in my career, I was wearing a pager.
Oh, I remember those.
Who wears pagers anymore?
Yeah.
But I had a pager, and it shows a little number, and you call the number. Right, and so I was the therapist on call in this particular clinic where we were in. The pager goes off. I kid you not, it was like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And this number comes up, and so I got a call, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know if somebody's suicidal or what's going on. So I call this lady. She is hysterical, okay? This mom, her 15-year-old son is using pot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Now, 2:30 in the morning. Why is this a crisis? Because she just found out.
Yeah, it's a crisis for her right now. Mm-hmm.
Right. Is it a crisis for her son?
No.
No, he's been using for months.
And it will be in the morning when he finds out Mom Mouse.
Now, it's going to be a problem really soon, right? And so we had a conversation, and this is probably worth considering. When you suspect that something's going on, if something's going on, it's probably been going on for a while.
For a while, absolutely.
It's going to feel like a crisis to you. This is important, but not necessarily urgent.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do the right thing, not the quick thing.
Absolutely.
So I love where you're going with this. Open up that communication, use some search talk, get some discovery happening.
Yeah.
Where you can align with your child and show them that you're willing to listen without freaking out.
Absolutely, because that search talk, when you're having that conversation with your child, you're also going to be in what's called the reflective listening style, meaning they're going to be telling you content and you're going to be reflecting them back so that they know you understand. If for some reason we slip into that reactive listening style, then we're going to want to solve the problem and chop it off. It'll never work that way. That relationship between you and your child will be broken. Offense will be taken, and judgments will completely overtake the whole conversation. It's a delicate dance, and one that needs to be probably researched with a professional at times. But right there at that initiation, if you have a suspicion that your child's using, go into it without judgment. Go into it with a heart at peace. Well, not a heart at war, because there's a reason your child's using, and pretty heavy emotions are going to kind of bleed out from that. But you'll make or break it with the first line of questioning. And if you be cautious and understand what you want to know more about what's going on. You got to go in that approach with a soft demeanor and a desire to want to help.
Take some of that reactive energy that you feel, because you're going to feel like, I got to do something about this, right? You are doing something about this. As you quiet yourself down a little bit, take a position of listening first.
Absolutely.
Put yourself in that position, showing empathy, using those good search questions. Help me to understand this or that. Tell me more about this or that. Not the close-ended stuff.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's an important conversation to have, and one that really should be had way before any suspicion, because again, our kids are going to struggle. They live in a world now where there's addictions around every corner, and so you can't be surprised if this does happen, because it happens so often. But what you can be surprised is how great your relationship can become once you know the insides and outs of what their heart's dealing with.
Right. You probably know some other people who are wondering the same thing. If you could share this video with them, it would really make a difference. And if you want to connect to Blu, go to addicttoathlete.com, or you can connect with him also through liveonpurpose.coach.
I saw her standing in the street alone. Her head was down, face locked onto her phone.